you hand letterers and bullet journalers out there. Today's tutorial is for you because today we're going to focus on those little doodles and accents that you can use to adorn your hand lettering projects and your planners. Now these little doodles, they go way beyond pretty sketches because you can use them to create space and divide space within a project. So let's get started. Hi guys, I'm Shayda Campbell, and on this channel I do art tutorials like Bujo and hand lettering, so if that's your thing, consider subscribing. And I want to take a sec to thank everyone who's chosen to support me on Patreon. You guys are awesome and I appreciate it so much. There's lots of art available on my Patreon site for a $2 monthly donation, including this coffee shop shelfie print and tons of other downloadable printable media that I think you guys are going to love. So go check it out if you haven't already. So I'm starting today with my bullet journal, which is filled with dot grid paper, and that just means that on the paper there's a grid of tiny dots and it really helps me keep things aligned. And then of course I'm using my artist pens, my Pigma Microns from Sakura. And I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm going to start by creating a title from the Doodles and Accents. And I've gone in pencil here and I've used the grids to help, or the dot grid to help me put this rectangle right in the center of the page. And I'm just casually drawing a rectangle, not worrying about getting it too straight. I just think that's such a waste of time. I like to just make things as straight as they can be by hand drawing it. And then I'm hand drawing a secondary rectangle just behind the first one, and I'm just going to fill that in with a bunch of tiny lines. And again, these lines do not need to be all the exact same distance apart or anything like that. And then I've got this nice sort of punchy box that I can put my title in. And I've just written the title in pencil first, and then I'm going over it with my artist pen. And once I've got that, I'll grab the smallest nib, the 003 micron, and I'm going to go in and on the cursive font or the cursive lettering, I'll do a thickening of each downstroke to give that faux calligraphy look. Okay, let's jump right into our accents. So the first one is one that I use all the time, and that's just a simple hand-drawn line. It can be horizontal or vertical. And then you're going to draw a leaf at one end and then little pairs of these oval or round leaves all along the length of that hand-drawn line. And that just gives this great botanical accent. And another one is just a hand-drawn line, and I'll often double this up. Always pull the pen towards your body, and that helps to keep it steady so that you get a nice fairly straight line. Here I've marked 2 spots in pencil, and then I'm just going along and adding dots. So just mark where you want the length of this to continue to, and then you can just put little dots or X's, and this is a great way for underlining or just creating a division on the page. And this works for just about anything. You just do little angled lines like I'm doing here, and the key is really just to mark off where do you need it to start and end, and that'll help you sort of keep it straight. And of course, a little hand-drawn arrow is always nice for dividing up space. So these are different things that I would call like breaks and lines. This is great for keeping things organized and creating some division within a page. Next, let's talk about banners and flags. And one that I go back to again and again because it's simple and easy is just to draw a little flag coming off from the side of the page or the top or bottom of the page. So it doesn't need to have a starting point, and it's very hand-drawn. Anytime I don't quite like the shape of something and I've done it in pen, I do a double line. That is my big secret weapon, the double line. It helps you to sort of reassess what you've done, go over it, and it still looks like you meant to do that. All right, let's try another banner here. This one, simple rectangle, and then you just indent slightly there and then finish off the end, and it can be with a little flag or it could just be a straight end. Next one is a little bit trickier. You're going to start again with that hand-drawn rectangle, then drop down a little on the top and draw 2 little lines going out from your rectangle. Then on the bottom, you're going to come in and draw 2 small, very small, but angled lines. And then you can take those out as long as you want the back of the flag to be and match them on the top there. think you can see where this is going. And then again, you can end that flag however you like. Could be straight, could be flag-like with the indented triangle. And again, don't worry about getting it perfect. A few little lines there for shading can really add some nice depth as well. Oh, and here's one that I love. This is great if you sort of put a title off center and you're like, what do I put over on the right or left of the page now? Doing a little drop down flag here that sort of hangs off a little hand-drawn pole. Yeah, see again, I sort of missed there, so I'm just going to do my double line and everything as well. That's a nice one for adding in a little detail. And of course, you can always just do a little hand-drawn box, single line or double line, and that will just help create space, create a spot for another bit of text or whatever it may be. Moving on, we are going to cover some flowers and plants. This is a subject I've gone over many times on the channel, and I will link some good videos about drawing succulents, drawing flowers, but we'll cover a few bullet journal-y types here today. I always start for succulents with a little flower pot, very simple rectangle, and then just draw the bottom of the pot there. This is my favorite succulent. He has 3 sort of soft rounded triangles across the front and then 2 coming out of the back. So he has sort of these 5 fingers, and just a few little dots give him all the detail he needs to come to life as a cute little succulent. Let's try another. So rectangle to start the pot, a little bit of shading there across the bottom, and then this little cactus is just made up of these 2 sort of lumpy shapes that fit together, and then you can just put some dots on him to sort of give him that cactus detail. And we'll do one more. Again, pot starts with the rectangle and then a square across the bottom. I see I missed that corner, so I just double lined it, little line shading, everything looks good. And for this is my favorite cactus to draw. He sort of gets this spiky hair on top or crown on top, and then draw a couple lines down the middle of his bulbous shape, and then put little X's going down each line and try to keep those X's in line with each other as best you can, and it'll give a great little cactus look. And how could I do a section on flowers and plants without doing a Shayda classic, a laurel, and that is just these 2 crossed lines here, and I always thicken them at the bottom to give the look of a stem, and then start at the top with a little leaf, and then again, like we did at the start, pairs of leaves going down the length of the stem, and you can get slightly larger as you go down, or you don't have to. And these leaves could be any shape. I tend to go for sort of a pointy oval, but you could do round. You could add some little flowers in there, berries, but those are great for surrounding any title. And just a stem with a couple leaves on it is always great for dividing up a little space on a page and adding some visual interest. And you can be as detailed with that as you want. Just start with that loose hand-drawn line, and then you could make those leaves any shape. So whatever suits your style, whatever suits the style of the page that you're working on. Another way to divide space and add some visual interest is to do little groupings of flowers. And these are sort of my funny little lumpy flowers. They seriously could be any shape, and then just put that little X in the middle, and they always look like a flower. And here's one flower that I do over and over again. I start with a lot of dots in the middle to represent the stamen, and then I do sort of these lumpy petals, first the top and bottom, then the side ones. And again here, if I'm not quite happy with the shape of those petals, I'll do the double line. I want to change something, make one slightly larger, double line. That's how I get through drawing in pen. And I'm going to add some small leaves there, a line down the middle, and then making one side of the leaf a little darker is a nice detail when you're drawing in pen. And of course, just a little stem with some small buds can be a nice way to divide up space. And of course, you can put things either on a horizontal or vertical axis as you need them. And flowers and leaves are such simple items to draw, and I think so many of us are so comfortable with them. You could make a nice little pattern by just doing flower, leaf, or what have you, and that's another great way to help divide up a page. All right, I think that's pretty much it for flowers and leaves. Think groupings, think patterns, and just draw from what you have around you. Next, we're going to do a section that I call geometric stuff. So this is very bullet journal-y, I think, these geometric drawings. I've seen a lot of them on Pinterest, and I want to try to sort of pass some of that along. These ones I always start in pencil. Strangely, they're very simple, and yet I find them a little bit tricky. You have to get them just right. So we're going to start with a diamond, and you can see me sketching it out here in pencil, and sort of, it's giving me a little trouble, but that's why you start in pencil sometimes. And I'll talk you through it as I go over it in pen. So you start with a line down the middle, a cross, a high cross, and then you sort of make a kite shape around that. Then you're going to add 2 more sections to the bottom of the diamond there. Keep the line straight across the section of the cross, and then you're just going to finish off that diamond shape at the top. And then you can add some little detail in those left and right hand sections there. And now let's try a simpler one. So this one, you start with a triangle, a nice wide upside down triangle, divide it into 3 sections, add the top bit of the diamond, and then just add a zigzag line across the top. So that's a real simple diamond. Next, I've sketched out a paper crane. This is a drawing I used in my January Bujo layout. I'm starting it in pencil, as I always do, and I find if I start in pencil, it comes together as long as I'm looking at an image. So if you're going to do a crane, I suggest looking them up on Google Images, and then just make sure, start in pencil, make sure all the shapes that make up the crane are triangles, and you just want to work on just trying to get those lines nice and straight. Pull the pen towards your body whenever possible to get a nice, perfectly imperfect straight line. And try your best to get all the lines and corners and points to line up, and then you can add some simple line shading, and that will really make that crane drawing pop. Okay, now we're going to do a fox. So you can see me doing a quick sketch in pencil here, and this is one that I found online and I thought it'd be fun to do. So you start with a V shape and then add 2 lines on the side of that V, and then you sort of want a rounded area for the head, 2 little triangular ears. And then the body is sort of this coffin shape, and you're just going to put a point there, line for the feet, a line for the legs to represent the legs. This little triangular section represents the body, and then you can make the tail sort of any shape, and you just want it off to the side. And you can add as much detail with your lines here as you want. So it could be very super geometric if you add a lot of lines, or keep it quite simple like I've done. All right, let's do one more. Paper airplane comes together pretty easily. You just start with a triangle, and then you add that little middle section. So you break the triangle into a section of 2, and then draw that line going down to give it some depth. And then you just add that little bottom bit, and that's it. That's your little paper airplane. I think a whole line of those would be very cute. And then I'm trying my best to do the geometric heart. I've seen a few good ones on Pinterest, but I don't think mine was overly successful. But I started with a heart shape. I went around and sort of made it into a more geometric heart, and then I just divided it up with lots of lines and points and all kinds of crazy stuff coming together in the middle. But that's basically how it came together. Started with a heart shape, went around and made that heart much more angular, and then divided it up. But I'm surely you guys could do a better job dividing it up there. Okay, so that's the geometric stuff. I think I could practice those, but I actually really like where they're headed, and they're a lot of fun to put in your Bujo. And now that's what I wanted to show you guys. And I thought over here on the left-hand page, I'll just sort of show you some of these ideas in practice. So first of all, I love doing corners and just some simple lines on the corners there. And then you could sort of add any motif inside this corner area once you've drawn it off with lines or marked it off with your lines. And here I'm just adding a little leaf or botanical motif, and I've got a great corner for the edge of my page. Next, we're going to take the diamond and make it into something useful. Not that a doodle isn't useful in a journal, as they do add so much decoration and help divide up space, but we're going to turn this diamond into a sort of date stamp. So again, I missed a line there, but just doubled it up. So that's the trick in pen. If you miss your point, if you don't get things just so, just double up your line. So here I've drawn the diamond, but I've kept the bottom part blank, and then I'm just going to put the date in there. So that's just one way you might use one of these doodles to your advantage. Here in the center of the page, I'm going to employ a technique that I often do, and that is to do some hand-drawn lines and create a box. And then I'll add my title or my writing or whatever in the box, and then I'll do sort of a doodle around the edges of the box, but I'll keep the inside nice and plain and blank and minimal. So I'm writing vacation ideas in here, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of sort of leaf motifs around the box, but I never let anything enter that nice white space. So I might go in pencil, and then later on I'll erase that, but all the pen stays on the outside. And I'm just sort of doing some different leafy doodles and trying to make this have sort of a tropical, fun, vacation-y feel. Now this page layout, this blank box with the drawings around it, I think this is a great sort of way to draw a title page, and I think if you haven't tried it before, you'll find you're very successful with it. Just that blank box gives this great minimal, simple design, and then the drawings around it, it's just fun, and it always comes together and looks really nice. And I often do botanical drawings because that's just me. I love the way they look, but you could use anything. You could do fruit, or I did paper cranes for my January Bujo. So let's move on to our last doodle, and this one again is something that is nice to adorn a page, to fill in some space, but it's also a great way to break up the space of a page. And my idea here is to do a sketch that sort of hangs down onto the page. So you're going to do that hand-drawn line coming down, and then you have something hanging there. And in this case, I've done feathers, but you could do light bulbs or paper cranes. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with this, and it just creates a nice vertical illustration. So that's it. That's it for my Bujo accents and doodles. These are also great for your hand lettering projects, and I hope this has given you a sort of foundation, especially if you're getting into Bujo or we're sort of running dry on ideas. I hope you'll find there's a lot of inspiration here and a lot of doodles that you can take and really make into your own. And before I go, I'll leave you with one last thing that I sort of doodled out last weekend. And this is a January layout. It's sort of a whole lifestyle layout. I saw this on Pinterest, and you just start with the month title in the middle, and you can do a little sketch around it. And I did a snowflake. And then you've got all the different aspects of your life here, and you can make little lists for them. So under career, I have, daily social. So I want to put stuff on Instagram. And under self-care, I have like daily affirmations and journaling. And this just sort of keeps you accountable through the month. Under health, I have like don't eat any candy, which is just such a lost cause. And I have a bunch of Reese's peanut butter cups to thank for that. But this is just a really fun layout. So I thought I would show you guys what I'm working on this month. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. I really appreciate your interaction. And if you haven't seen the video description, last week's giveaway winner is written there. So check that out for the Bujo giveaway winner. All right, have a great week, and I will see you next Friday with a new tutorial.